be very clear. You want a partner who is more than
Yes.
just a
You want
physical.
that, a partner.
Yes, who is more than just a physical attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Who is more than just
A pretty face.
the cutest thing on the block,
Yep.
right? You want somebody who, and this is what I say to my girls, is you want them to help you be a better person.
Yeah, they
And
should help elevate you,
and I feel
and
like
be an
that's what we
additive.
do.
Yeah.
I honestly do. I feel like I am a better human because we are together. And I feel like, you know, we're a force to be reckoned with together. And granted, we're two capable human beings who, in our own
Yes.
right, could be awesome. But when you put us together, it's like multiplied. And so I feel
Yep.
like that's how you ought to feel in your finances as well. Welcome. This is For Better and Worth,
The podcast where we don't believe you have to sacrifice your relationship while you grow and build your net worth.
We are your hosts.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Ericka Young. And we're so glad you're joining us today.
All right, y'all. Let's get into it. Hey, babe. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I feel like it's been a long week. And at the time of this recording, it's like after hours, after working, after all the things of the week, and it's just a lot.
Look, we need you all to just press like, subscribe.
What that
Get
got
us
to do with
up.
how I feel?
Because once we build this up, blow this platform up, then we could just do this all the time.
You're right.
Yeah.
But how are you feeling?
I had a little nap before this, so
I know. See, that make me mad.
So I got a little burst of energy.
Right.
So I'm feeling swell.
You promptly woke up. First of all, I was talking to you when you went to sleep. I was like, "You ready?"
I'm feeling swell, guys.
No, I was like, "Let's just get this done," And I come up and this fool is asleep. And I literally, you don't know, I stood there for a couple minutes and watched you and contemplated throwing a pillow at your head.
I'm sorry.
Made my drink. I had my little snack. I fed the dog.
Well, hey.
You fell asleep.
Well,
and then I said.
Here we are.
No, I said, I need a minute away from his face. Okay? I came back and you like, you ready? Fool, I been ready. Where you been? Sleep.
Man, this should be like the outtakes reel, but this is the actual go time.
This is real. This is real life.
Yeah.
Okay? This is real life. So, this is how I'm feeling. Okay?
But you know what?
What? Don't give me that voice. Don't put the voice on. Don't do the voice.
I love you, baby.
You know what? Anyway, so today, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Anyway,
this is hilarious. This is hilarious.
So today, we are going to talk about 3 mistakes that people make. And I think they're biggies, okay?
Yes, I would agree.
And
I think mistakes is one way to think about it, but I was thinking about it like, what you have to do to have success.
It's mistakes made, because the reason why is because if you do these mistakes, it is highly detrimental.
Yes.
And if any one of these mistakes are made, there are massive, to me, ramifications. So that's just how passionate I am about it.
Well, I'm going to jump into the first one because I think we are firm believers that if you keep and hang on to debt or go further into debt, that is a huge mistake that couples can make, because when you get into a relationship, like when we first met, we got into a relationship, we both had debt. And there was a period of time where we increased that debt, accumulated more debt. But then we reached a point, even early on, and we said, we can't do this. We can't continue to hold on to this debt, and we can't get more debt. We have got to eliminate this debt. And I think if we had not done that early on, we would be in a totally different situation now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we got on the same page relatively quickly and made the decision to get out of debt.
So here's the challenge that I think that people run into. People think and they accept, this is the thing, they accept that student loans will be around forever.
Oh my God.
They accept that car debt is just like having a utility
Right.
payment.
I think that's a good way to put it. People
And
look at cars as,
yeah,
you got to have a car
yeah,
and I got to have a new car.
got to have a payment. And even, or it could just be a series of used vehicles with a series of car payments
Yeah.
that you never pay off, right? So essentially, we are unsatisfied with the vehicle that we have at a specific time. And then we always want to get another vehicle. And so that
Car fever.
unsatisfaction is a challenge. And I think people do it with houses
said,
and all of
what'd
that.
you say? Unsatisfaction.
Is that a word?
No,
It was a word in the moment.
It's
Okay.
dissatisfaction.
Okay.
I'm here for you.
You listen, don't correct me. Today I'm right. Today I'm right. Okay, even if it don't sound right. But I think that it is keeping debt and accepting it is a way of life.
Yeah.
And what I challenge people to do is add up all of your debt payments, like the things that you think are assets, which is your vehicle, your house, you know what I mean? But all of the credit cards or student loans, add up your payments. People don't do this enough. We don't tend to look at the total amount owed, and we don't like to face the total amount of payments every month. And that is why I think it's a big mistake, is because we accept that this is the way it's always supposed to be.
Yeah, I think sometimes that's a cop out though.
I agree.
Just accepting that.
Say more.
Just accepting that this is the way it's going to be. When, early on we had professional careers, but we were at like starting salaries. And though we had a decent income that was combined together, it wasn't like, a whole lot. And we could have just said, we are where we are. We're just going to, live for the moment. But I say it's a cop out because you have to make a decision to do something different. If you want to lose weight, you got to make a decision to work out and eat differently. If you want to be healthy, you got to make a decision to get a checkup and do the various things that are required to maintain health. If you want to become educated, you got to do the things that are required to gain education, read books, listen to seminars, go to conferences. Those are all things that require commitment. Mm-hmm. And it's no different than if you want to be debt free, you have to make some decisions.
Well, I also think people have to make a decision that debt is not what they want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, I've always talked about their fundamentals in life. Mm-hmm. And it's fundamentals that you have to make some no matter what decisions in your life at various points to get where you want to be. Mm-hmm. And I think for us early on, we made a decision that no matter what, we wanted to be out of debt. And so my challenge to people is no matter what your situation looks like today, I think one of the biggest mistakes you can make is to hold on to debt. And so to get rid of that debt, you really have to make some no matter what decisions. And in doing that, yes, add your debt up, face the reality of what that is. And then that's why it's so good that people have coaches like you that are out there that can help them mount a plan and a strategy, mm-hmm. and then have accountability. And in a relationship, you really need to have some people that are, like-minded, or at least, honestly, at least one person that's going to hold both people's feet to the fire.
And we'll get to that in a hot second. But I will say that, society has allowed us to believe that debt is okay.
Yes.
And that
it's normalized.
It's definitely normalized. Even, bankruptcy is normalized. We don't typically talk about that here on the podcast, but, uncontrolled debt leads to that decision on whether or not you are going
Right.
to file bankruptcy. And so I
And
just think that
bankruptcy is like the easy way out to some degree because it's unchecked behaviors
Mhm.
that you say, okay, now I can file bankruptcy and I can just start over, depending upon which form of bankruptcy you file.
And I think so, yes. And I just really feel like that's the cop out, right? That
Yes.
And so anyway, I don't want to get into bankruptcy because that's a whole nother soapbox that I could totally
Right.
go down. But I will say that we have to be willing to step outside the box because society makes everything normalized that shouldn't be normalized, and it's doing something different. And I would even go so far as to say it is also outside the box or outside the norm to decide that you want to pay your house off. I'm Because we are at that age where it's important to think about. I tell people all the time, when you're in your 50s, you need to pay your house off and secure your residence and make it easier as you approach your retirement years to live in that way.
Yeah.
And so
Take that responsibility off your plate.
I don't want to mince words here. I want to say that, keeping any kind of debt, including a mortgage long term for the rest of your life. I mean, think about the freedom that
Oh.
comes
Whew.
when you literally owe no one anything.
Yes.
That's huge, And so
I
I just
think
want to challenge that thought
yeah.
process and in terms of how things are
I
normalized.
think back to like 70 or 80-year-olds still having a mortgage or having debts. I couldn't even imagine the stress that life is. I don't know. I feel like life as you get older, it's supposed to get easier.
Yeah, and
But
it can
it can be challenging no matter what. But I'm just thinking like when you make sound financial decisions, it can help make life simpler.
yeah.
But that's the first thing. What's the
But hold
second?
on, before we go there, I do want to say that it's also an asset, right? And so securing your residence is important, but it's also an asset that you can
Hmm.
utilize if necessary for, for instance, living in a retirement home facility, that kind of thing, or
You could sell your
you could
home
sell
and
your home.
use
It's an asset,
yes,
right? And so
use the proceeds from it.
that's the other part of this is, to not get ahead of ourselves and buy more home than we can afford at different phases of our life to the point where we are in a position where we can't do that. So
Yeah.
ultimately, the answer that I think the both of us agree upon is that this is, keeping debt is a mistake.
Any kind of debt.
Any kind of debt is what I will emphasize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one of the mistakes that it's one of the top three worst mistakes you can make. So what would you say is the second one?
Well, the second one is not saving for the future,
Yes.
and not saving for the future. No one, most people are not going to have a, pension plan. No one's going to be taking care of you. Social
Not
Security is
not
not
in this
enough,
day and age.
and so you have to ensure that you have what you need for retirement.
Hmm.
And so that's important. And we tend to push it off. What I see is in the first 20 years of your working career, lots of folks push that decision off or they piddle around with it. They're not really saving what is enough to be on track. And the next 20 years of that career, they're trying to catch up.
I think that's partly because those first years you're earning lower incomes,
Mm-hmm.
you're in debt, you're starting a family, you're trying to buy a first home. You're in the accumulation phase of life.
Mm-hmm.
And that accumulation phase of life tends to push some decisions off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing that would put people in a better situation during that initial phase of life, like when we bought a house, we said we were not going to spend over this amount.
Mm-hmm.
And that was at different times we said that in different houses that we
We
bought.
bought one house though that was beyond our means at that time.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
did buy one house that was
I will agree with that.
yeah. So
So we don't want you.
we have not had a perfect journey.
We don't want you to think we've done everything perfectly, because we have not. But when we bought our next house, we were like, you know what? This is the limit.
Mm-hmm.
We qualified for more. Income-wise, we could afford more. But we made a decision that we wanted long-term to be able to do some other things.
Yeah.
And so we didn't buy more house than we could afford. We could afford that. We could make sure we were saving and investing for our retirement. We were saving for, our present situation with an emergency fund, and fueling whatever it is that we wanted to do along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's so important that you begin to set some limitations on how expansive of a life you want to live, because everybody goes in and buys a big house. Then you want to buy the nicest car. You want to wear the finest clothes. But nobody wants to make any level of sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about people who say, who have access to resources. Like, there is such an abundance of resources out there right now, like podcasts, like all these different financial literacy tools that can help people be empowered to make decisions, that people should be able to, make such better decisions now than we were able to make then.
Mm-hmm.
But we found a way to make those decisions then.
And it's easier, I think. There's access in a lot of different ways to invest for your future. You do not. Now, I do recommend that you have a financial advisor.
Yep.
I am not a financial advisor.
No, we are. What, I always say I'm a financial enthusiast.
You are a financial enthusiast, but we do not invest assets for anybody, but
Right.
you can do this on your own. Like, there's so many different apps and programs you can do. You can invest your money on your own, but I do recommend that you actually have a professional that you work with, because they know better than you. They do this all day long.
And the investment firms, they make a lot of tools available for
Mm-hmm.
you to do analysis and things on their sites. But not everybody's going to go that road, and not everybody's going to be able to, comprehend, understand all of that. So a financial advisor is always helpful.
Mm-hmm. And I think so. There should be no excuses. And then even in your workplace, there's always like a plan administrator or somebody that you can
Mm-hmm.
talk to help you in that regard. But they have now made it so easy for in so many different ways at work. Get your matching dollars, all of your free money. There should be no excuses here. If you can't afford to get your free money, then you need to pull something back on your budget.
That should be the minimum.
For sure. And outside of that, like we said, all of these different tools and resources to be able to invest on your own without the help of a professional, but also utilizing professionals, because you can actually invest. People invest $50 a month as a
Yeah.
starting place. Like, you don't have to have thousands and thousands of dollars to start.
Start wherever you are.
Yeah,
You know?
people make all kind of excuses to keep themselves from doing this. And then a Roth IRA, again, depending on the fund and all of that, you can start really, with a small amount of money. So there really are no excuses. I think anytime you are really trying to think about your future, you need to do some calculations. There's calculators. I literally have I almost pulled it out. I have a calculator on my phone that can show you how much it's going to take to get to a certain dollar amount. We have the tools available to us. You just have to use them. Period.
I remember when early on and at different phases, we started and we did exactly what you're talking about. We started putting, a certain percent in. And then when we got a raise, we increased that percent. Or when we paid off a debt, we increased that percent until we were able to get to a very solid, 10%. And then we were able to get to the point where we were able to max out the 401ks. And, like I said, everything wasn't perfect. We didn't get to a point where we could max the Roth out, but, we said we need to pass on, I say, the cheat code to our children. And I said, listen, if there's one thing I would do differently, I would have started a Roth IRA as soon as we were married and did what you talked about, put $50 a month in each of them. And so we've encouraged our kids, which they both now have Roth IRAs, and they invest in those Roth IRAs. And that right there alone is going to have a significant impact into their future as far as how they are able to plan for the future while living life.
Yeah.
Because we always talk about progress over perfection. And though it wasn't perfect for us, you still can continue to make progress. And that's where I want to see people lean into that portion of making progress, and don't let this be an area where you make a mistake and it's one of the worst mistakes that you can make. Because I was talking to someone recently, and they were telling me how they weren't doing enough. And I was like, huh? I was really confused, because I was like, wait a minute. You're of a certain age that this should not be the situation or the circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like seeking to understand, like, help me understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people, like, when you want to have these conversations, you invite me into asking questions,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, I need to ask some questions. Then I started getting into people's business and, doing my mini financial planning, situation and session.
You need to quit giving away free stuff.
I know.
It's not
I
free.
know.
They should be paying you. Okay. So,
But yeah, we digress.
but I will say, I can't pinpoint if we've ever said this on the podcast before. So I'm going to reiterate it if we have. Ideally, it is good to have between 10 and 15% of your gross
Yes.
income put
Yes.
towards your future. And so, in terms of a progression, what I recommend is get the free money. Get any matching contributions that your
3,
employer
4,
offers.
5, 6%. That's your starting point.
And then, if you can, max out a Roth. Here's why. Because you can max the Roth out. The Roth IRA has a limitation on it already. Like you can only go up to, what is it?
$7,000.
$7,000. And so in 1 year, and so you can't put any more money in that. It doesn't matter how much money you make. And then go back to your 401k and do your best to get up to 10%. And if you can make more money, you go up to 15%. And then if you can make more money, then you max out the full amount that you can do on your 401k, which
and max out the Roth.
It's
$23,000.
$23,500.
No.
Okay, so $23,000. So between those two, you're almost at $30,000. So like when we're talking about like what you are capable of doing, so I know not everybody can do that now, but that's the progression of getting to a place where you are securing your future in a solid way. And this is why debt doesn't fit.
Yep.
Because
you can't do that when you're still paying a bunch of debt payments.
Exactly. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. And the only thing I'll add to that is you still have to have an emergency fund. So you have to save for the future, but you have to save for today as well. And we say start out, with a small amount so you can handle a small emergency, but then build that where you have 6 to 12 months of liquid cash stashed away, and that would be in a high yield. Yeah, it's not in a shoebox.
You or cash.
Right, it's not. I did say cash. I mean, I said liquid.
Liquid
cash.
But liquid means you can.
Right, you can get to it. You can access it. So, don't put cash in a shoebox under your mattress or in the closet. Yeah. Utilize a high yield savings account or something of that nature, a brokerage account, something where you can get to that money. But we've decided to save the best for last.
Lord have mercy.
The worst mistake you can make.
Literally, honestly, now the other ones are super duper important.
Yeah, this one can change your whole life.
Sure could, not just your money.
So, choose wisely.
Yes, choose what wisely, honey?
Your spouse.
Yes. Lord have mercy.
If you choose the wrong spouse, I think we both woo, Jesus, that could.
A moment of silence for those who have not chosen wisely.
I think it's so many things that we could talk about in this area that don't even have anything to do with money.
Absolutely. But where it concerns money, if you have someone who is going to sabotage your efforts to make financial progress, That is a problem.
That
And
is a major problem.
so pay attention to the writing on the wall. Watch while you date. Understand.
And believe it.
Yeah.
Believe it.
Don't sweep it under the rug.
People reveal themselves. You know, you get the best versions of them initially, but people reveal who they are
Yeah.
early on. So believe them.
Yeah. And the other thing is, if perchance you are in a situation where, financially speaking, this person is not helping you move forward, work on that together as a team. Like, I just say find commonality. What do you agree upon? Can you agree that you don't like debt? Or can you agree that you need to increase your savings? Or can you agree that you need to be on a budget? Or can you agree that one of you will be the main person where the finances are concerned? What is it that you can, or
One person may pay the bills or do the budget, but it's not a solo assignment.
Or can you agree to go talk to somebody? Like,
Right.
what is it that you can agree upon? Have a conversation to figure that out first, and then build on that commonality. Because I think typically there is someone who is pushing a budget, pushing change,
Right.
pushing the numbers.
Somebody else who is like feeling
Reluctant.
overwhelmed or
frustrated or
Yes.
annoyed, or they want to throw the pillow at their spouse at that moment.
Now, we're not saying that that's the wrong choice just because somebody might be reluctant, but you know, you do have to find common ground where you come together and you decide that you're going to do things in alignment. I think the problem occurs when you choose someone who you didn't read the tea leaves or see the signs and knew that they were fundamentally different.
What
just
are some
in
of the
how
signs?
I think when you see how people, if you're dating in a dating situation and you see how people, you know, spend money, you know, if they like to overspend and then, you know, rob Peter to pay Paul to try and make it balance, which is never going to balance.
And women, if that man is asking you for money, that
Oh
is
man, yeah,
the
that's
red flag. That is the buzzer going off. Like, run in the opposite direction if he asking you for money, because he don't have gas money. That's a problem. That's a problem.
well, brothers. If the women are asking you for money, make sure she got some money too. Okay.
No, I mean, that's real. So what that does is it speaks to mismanagement of funds,
Right.
right? And so if you're dating and they're asking you for money, that means they didn't work something out right in their financial situation, and they making that your problem.
I think what I'm really getting at is that relationships are meant to be additive. Like it shouldn't be just one person putting all the load or responsibility on them. You know, it should be you're bringing assets to the table. Each of you bring assets versus both of you just bringing a bunch of liabilities, and together that, you know, liabilities minus expenses equals assets.
No.
Assets
No.
minus liabilities.
Yes. Listen. You need to be an asset, okay? They need to be assets. So if they're having a hard time, you know, and you're already in the relationship, find commonality. That's my big thing. And I would also say you probably should just take the numbers off the table and think about and dream. You know, what are your goals? Where do you see yourself in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years down the line? And then begin to talk about a plan to get you there.
Right.
Sometimes, again, I can't stress this enough. Sometimes starting with the budget or pointing fingers or any of that is going to push this person away financially.
You know, I mean, we're talking a lot about the money side of it, but I think it's like even before you even get there, like just make sure you have somebody that you like, that you're aligned to, not just like I love you, but I like you. You know, I like hanging out with you when I'm traveling. I miss you. You know, and I want the best for you always. And when you have somebody who is on that same level, and it's not just, you know, well, I guess you don't marry somebody who, you know, is just superficial, but people had all types of relationships.
Let's be very clear. You want a partner who is more than
Yes.
just a
You want
physical.
that, a partner.
Yes, who is more than just a physical attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Who is more than just
A pretty face.
the cutest thing on the block,
Yep.
right? You know, you want somebody who, and this is what I say to my girls, is you want them to help you be a better person.
Yeah, they should help elevate you,
And I feel
and
like
be an
that's what we
additive.
do.
Yeah.
I honestly do. I feel like I am a better human because we are together. And I feel like, you know, we're a force to be reckoned with together. And granted, we're two capable human beings who, in our own
Yes.
right, could be awesome. But when you put us together, it's like multiplied. And so I feel
Yep.
like that's how you ought to feel in your finances as well. And I tell people, you know, all the time, like if there's a communication breakdown, if money is something that you really can't talk about, this is likely a communication breakdown in other areas of your relationship. And
Yes.
you
It
probably need
is.
some other help to get there.
Yeah. And that's why choosing right is so important.
Yeah.
Because if you are with somebody and they will not back down, they're stubborn, they won't compromise, they're not willing to compromise, it's always their way or the highway. Do you want to spend a lifetime of dealing with that?
And let's be very clear. Divorce is expensive. And once that happens, your assets are split. It's a battle of trying to figure out who gets what and all of that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go through that. Like you
Not at
don't
all.
want your love that at one time you were madly in love with this person to come down to a financial transaction. And so
It's so
it's
sad.
it's worth fighting for.
Yeah, it's so sad.
And I'm expensive. So you gonna want to make sure to keep me. Okay?
Exactly. we could go on and on just talking about those three areas.
Yeah.
Debt and saving for not having debt and keeping debt being one. Saving for the future.
Not saving for the future is a problem.
And I say save today and the future. And choosing the wrong spouse, we could probably spend a whole episode talking about just that.
Yeah, we really could.
This is a podcast about relationships and money. And if you don't get the money or the relationship right, you could be in trouble either way. So
exactly. So this has been good. My thought on make it worth it is, gosh,
it's a lot there.
There's a lot there, and I'm gonna say, this is don't make any of the mistakes. Okay, don't make any of them. But if you have identified some challenges where you may have normalized debt, or you're not doing enough to save for the future, or you and your partner aren't necessarily on the same page, how you've made this episode worth it is to take that next step that is going to help put you in the right direction. That's what I would say. How about you?
Well, my make it worth it is take your time in the relationship process. Don't be Speedy Gonzalez and rush into things. And ask the tough questions early on, And I think I would encourage people, don't do it on the first date, or maybe not even second or third date. Get some time under your belt to know that this is somebody you want to potentially spend some time with. But I'm not saying, wait a year. Maybe give it a month or two, and you're just filling that person out, learning them. But have 4 or 5 serious questions that you pull out, and you start to ask some of the serious questions to peel the onion back, because people are trying to have that shell on and put their best foot forward. But once you start to peel back and see what's really there, that's when you can make a more informed decision. So I would say, to make it worth it, have a few questions and pull those serious questions out and have that conversation at various steps along the way. Don't just download on the first date. Well, tell me, what is your take on money and saving and retirement and debt?
And I would also say, if you're already in a relationship or you're already married and you haven't been discussing this in a productive way,
There's no time like the present.
Go slow like that too, though. Right?
Yep.
Don't download all the things and say we got to get it all right today.
Right.
Just, open up with some simple questions to help, let the conversation blossom over time, because frankly, I think you're gonna be talking about money for the rest of your life.
Right.
You got time, and so.
But it goes back to what we always talk about: progress over perfection. And if you don't feel like you've done it right, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You still have time to get it right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So,
But this was good. Yeah, this was good. I enjoyed this. So,
yeah.
Until next time, thank you for spending some of your time with us today.
We appreciate all of your support. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen to this podcast.
You can find us on Instagram at For Better and Worth.
And sign up to receive our free guide, The 7 Reasons Your Money Relationship Isn't Working with Your Partner, on forbetterandworth.com.
Until next time, we're out of here.